So,
Maybe that November though.
yeah, well, I guess so what we'll do is pretty much open it up for questions, since that's the purposes of us getting together. We had a very nice press conference on our new Veterans Affairs Officer, Patrick Welsh. Great turnout down at the Naval Park. And so now we're here to basically answer any and all questions you have, so.
You've talked in the past about a new stadium for the team. I know Ralph Wilson in the past has said a new stadium wouldn't necessarily help the Bills because of the economy here and what can be charged for luxury suites and premium seats. How do you think a new stadium could help this franchise stay in the area?
Well, this morning when I was asked on the radio just some thoughts about what Ralph Wilson said yesterday, I think a few things may have been exaggerated to what I said, which was simply, when you enter negotiations, there's all kinds of items that will be put on the table, and it would be very naive of anyone to think that one of the items that would likely be put on the table would be a discussion of our current stadium, and clearly the possibility of a new stadium as nothing more than a potential item of negotiation and discussion a couple of years from now when we are into what I would call, the true negotiating stage. And again, I think it would be naive of anyone to think that wouldn't be a topic. But we should say, to date, Ralph Wilson has not asked for a new stadium. So I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but I'm recognizing the potential of that coming up, especially as around the country there are new stadiums going in. So it's nothing more or less than that kind of statement.
Are you insulted by the tone of Ralph's response to that?
No, I've spoken to Russ Brandon. I spoke to him yesterday. Let's go back to Mr. Wilson and his investment in Western New York and what we've had for almost 50 years, which is a crown jewel called the National Football League team that we are all proud to have here, and it's the only team in New York State. So when you think about what we have here and the fact that Mr. Wilson, we all know, may have had opportunities over the years to move that franchise, certainly financially he would have been advantaged by doing so, but his commitment to Western New York has been unwavering. And all Ralph Wilson did yesterday was state the obvious. Western New York has been an area in decline. I've stated it. It's a well-known fact. And in a declining economic environment like Western New York, all kinds of problems come forward. Our kids, our youth are leaving the area. We have the second poorest city in the United States. We are struggling every day to serve our residents. We're all but bankrupt with a hard control board. All the things I talked about through my campaign are obvious. Mr. Wilson simply stated the obvious. We've been in decline for 40 years. And as I spoke with Russ Brandon, it's my job to help lead this county out of the quagmire we've been in, and under the mantra of grow or die, which is clearly what we have to be. We can't continue to be an area in decline. And so, stating the obvious, if we don't turn this ship around and start growing, we're all in for a bad future or no future. So Mr. Wilson stated the obvious, but he also stated very clearly he's committed to Western New York. His actions speak for themselves. He's been committed for almost 50 years to Western New York. And there's clearly nothing that he said that gives me concern that we're not going to have a very open, frank, and successful negotiation when the time comes. And we are having an open dialogue, myself, with Russ Brandon, with Jeff Littman. Russ Brandon confirmed to me yesterday that, afterwards, when all the press came forward, Mr. Wilson, was a little surprised that people took what he said in such a negative way. It was not intended that way at all. He simply stated the obvious. We've been in decline, and in doing that, clearly our ticket prices are amongst the lowest in the NFL. Clearly, when it comes to luxury boxes, in an area in decline, that's a real heavy lift. And other areas that haven't been in that kind of decline are selling out luxury boxes. And really, let's state the other obvious. By opening the franchise to include Southern Ontario going north, as he's already done going east into Rochester and Syracuse, is really a benefit to Western New York in general, Erie County, because now we may have, instead of 920,000 potential residents in Erie County, we've got 14 or 15 million potential clients from Toronto down and then going over into the Rochester, Syracuse. So in doing that, to me, that bodes well for the continuation of the franchise right here, which when you look at it, if he's defining the market as going from Toronto on down to Pennsylvania and then from the Great Lakes on over to Syracuse, where better to have that franchise located than right here where it is in Erie County?
Anticipating that the issue might come up in negotiations, do you think, number one, we do need a new stadium? And number two, would the stadium, a new stadium, do you believe, enhance the Bills' position here in Western New York?
It's not whether I think we need a new stadium.
But do you?
No, I'm not the owner of the Buffalo Bills. What I'm saying is, at some point, we're going to sit down and negotiate. In negotiations, there may be all kinds of items put on the table, including the potential of a new stadium. And again, it would be naive to think that may not be on the table. I am not expressing an opinion because it's not appropriate for me to do so, other than the obvious, it may be on the table. If it is, I will also tell you there's a place where the federal government potentially, the state government, the idea of a private-public partnership in building stadiums, much like we did with HSBC Arena, all of these things are there. Now, my confidence is the Bills are such an important part of the fabric of this community. If it comes down to ownership, be it Mr. Wilson or otherwise, and the intention of the ownership group is to keep that team here, everyone's going to work together to make sure that we have a viable franchise going forward and everything that means.
But Buffalo Bills are a privately held business, and you've dealt with it. At the end of the day, he can sell to whomever he wants.
Yes, he certainly, he needs to have the National Football League in that discussion, of course. And
They tend to rubber stamp everything.
well, again, I don't take anything as a given. It has always been Mr. Wilson's desire to keep that franchise here in Western New York. And I know that there are overtures being made to him, even as we speak, that would suggest perhaps, a Western New York group could be given a right of first refusal or something along those lines, which would not disadvantage his family or his estate in any way. And if that were to happen, then it would be up to Western New York to come together, whatever that ownership group might look like, to make sure that we've got the funding to keep it here.
You said this morning, though, that this may require a new stadium, a very expensive stadium. What is your position on how important a new stadium could be and whether it's something that should be part of this equation?
Again, let's state the obvious. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. It may be something that would be on the table. And all I've stated is, if it is, it's obviously going to be very expensive. You would not build a new second-rate cheapo stadium. And so understanding the order of magnitude, that's one that would absolutely require the cooperation of the state government for sure, probably the federal government, and may well include a private-public partnership, of which Erie County would certainly have a role to play. But it's silly to get so far ahead of ourselves on that one issue when it is strictly one issue. I guess my confidence level is if we have a local ownership group that owns the Bills and we sit down as reasonable people to negotiate what that means going forward, that we'll be able to successfully bring this forward.
But Chris, you have to realize, though, being county executive, you say, we're just putting this on the table if it comes up in discussion. But the mere fact that you are